Hello, and welcome to Let My People Eat, a podcast that provides satisfying talk about kosher nutrition. Here we clear through the clutter of nutrition speak, arm you with the clarity and confidence to eat, feel, and be your healthiest every day. I am Jill Sharfman, a board-certified holistic nutritionist living in Los Angeles.
And I'm Dr. Andrea Moskowitz, a neuroscientist and psychiatrist in Los Angeles. I use my training and experience to integrate positive lifestyle changes into my patients' lives.
Hey, Andrea.
Hey, Jill. How's it going?
It's going really well. Thank you. Just busy. So I have a question for you.
Sure.
When you were pregnant with your daughters,
Right.
Did you exercise?
You know, unfortunately, I walked, but that's all I did. But you know how I love to go to the gym?
Yes.
Yeah. So one of my gym friends, I think she just gave birth, actually, because I haven't seen her for a week or two.
Yeah.
But I was in awe because she was exercising, doing some cardio, doing some weight work. I mean, she was in great shape beforehand.
Right.
Up until, for all I know, the day she gave birth.
Right. So that was me. With both my girls, up until the day before, because I went into labor with both of them on Shabbos. Friday, I was in the gym working out with both of them.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, I think it really helps a lot with the recovery.
Sure.
And so we're going to delve into this because I got this voicemail that I want to play for you. So hang on. Here it is.
Good morning, Jill and Andrea. My name's Sarah, and I just want to say thank you. I love your podcast. You always have such interesting guests. And my question is, I was wondering if you have any health tips for someone who's considering starting a family. I'm an avid exerciser, and I can't imagine not running or taking boot camp classes once I'm pregnant. So do I need to adjust my routine to prepare for this next stage of my and my husband's life? Thank you so much.
So it's a good question.
It's a great question.
It's a really good question. And so because there are adjustments. There are things you have to do. It used to be that they would warn people away against exercising while they were pregnant. So now, years later, they have obviously figured it out and realized it's really good to exercise while you're pregnant. So we've invited onto the podcast Sophia Berman of Fit and Kosher. So Sophia started her fitness coaching career almost 5 years ago. And since then, she's taught in 12 spin locations until starting her own boutique studio. She's a graduate of Queens College with a BA in Psych. She is certified in group fitness, personal training, and spin. She lives in Teaneck, New Jersey with her husband and is the mom of 2 little girls, 22 months and 7 weeks.
Whoa.
Yes. She loves wearing her Yiddishkeit proudly on her shoulder and inspiring others to do the same b'simcha. So, hey, Sophia.
Hi, Sophia.
Hey, Jill. Hey, Andrea.
Hi.
So Sophia and I actually met at Melinda Strauss's Jewish Media Conference in New York back in November, and Sophia was pregnant at the time.
Mazel tov.
Yeah,
nice and large.
Yeah. And we started talking and, we were saying people have these questions about exercise and nutrition and, things do have to change. You can't just go on living life the way you did before you became pregnant. So, Sophia, so why don't you tell us a little bit about, you said you've only really started your real fitness journey about 5 years ago. So how did that come to be?
So I really didn't work out too much, throughout my life. And I guess you could say high school, post-high school, college. When I got married, my, classic right before you get married, you want to start losing weight,
shedding for the wedding.
I started going to the gym a little bit more, and I really fell in love with the classes, the group fitness style, being with the same, group of people every single day. I became kind of friends with these ladies in the gym, and I totally fell in love with it. My husband's an avid basketball player, very, very athletic. And with his help, he kind of got me into the fitness field. He taught me proper form for exercise. And, once I started to fall in love with the whole fitness regimen, I decided, I really feel like I can teach this.
Mm-hmm.
So I went on to get my certification in group fitness and personal training. And I was running a lot, my first year married, and I started to get shin splints. And you can't run with shin splints. It's it's extremely painful. And I was like, well, I got to get my cardio in somehow. And I started to take spin. Was so not a spinner. My mom is the spin person in my family. And I was always rolling my eyes at her. I was like, how do you do that? It's like, not for me, not for me. So when people tell me not for me, I totally get what they mean. And until I finally fell in love with it, really like that sweat, that endorphin rush afterwards, I was like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, Andrea and I, we both love to spin.
Yeah,
yeah, we are spinners.
Once you love it, there's no going back.
Right. Yeah, and I also run too. So.
Yeah, Andrea does run.
I love running, and once I got my certification in that, like spin totally became like my niche. It was like what I was good at, what I fell in love with teaching, and I haven't turned back. And, that's where I'm at now in terms of my certifications. There's so much more in the fitness world that you can do and get and train. And
right. So now you continue to exercise, obviously, with both your children, both your pregnancies.
Yeah. So I was spinning, as you know, if you see me on Instagram, I talk a lot about Peloton. Mm-hmm. Before I was pregnant, I was living in Queens when I was first married, and Peloton didn't even exist at the time. They were a small little new company that was showing Facebook ads on the side, on like the margin. And I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, this indoor stationary bike, this is exactly what I need. We got it. It was unbelievable. I fell in love with it. And spin total, like then Peloton took off. Then I became an exercise instructor. And then I got pregnant. This was like second year into my marriage. And, obviously the questions come up. Can you continue? Can your heart rate get that high? Can you exert that much energy while you're pregnant? And there's so much fear around, God forbid, hurting the baby while you're pregnant. And I think that's where so much of people, like majority of people's fear comes from. When I get asked, like, can I exercise while I'm pregnant? Can I do this? I see the fear comes from the mom about hurting the baby. They're so concerned that they're going to either do something, cause, God forbid, a miscarriage.
Right. I mean, there are the old wives' tales that, say that you can't do all those things, but studies in fact show that exercise may help reduce the risk of miscarriage, C-section, preterm birth, preeclampsia, gestational diabetes, and excessive weight gain. So there actually is a lot of research and studies that show this is not only going to harm your baby, but if it's done right, and obviously you should talk to your doctor about any exercise programs, or you should talk to a professional like Sophia who's trained in this. Definitely, go ahead, get 20 to 30 minutes each day.
Because I was actually feeling like nervous a little bit before speaking to you guys, because there's so much out there that's, people say no exercise at all. And I was afraid that maybe I was going to come on and say something that maybe people don't agree with. Right. And that's why I'm going to preface everything I say with, you must check with your doctor because everyone is an individual, and every single person's body is so different. And as a general, yes, it's very healthy to exercise while you're pregnant, but then there are a large amount of people who carry high risk pregnancies, which in that case, it's not okay. If you're at a high risk for preterm labor.
I think it also depends what you're at high risk for. Right. Because if you're at high risk for gestational diabetes, it would actually be healthy to exercise.
Sophia, you talked about the fear, because I do follow you on Instagram, and I remember pretty shortly after you gave birth, you were showing yourself doing some exercises. I think there was a lot of blowback from your followers going, "Oh my God, you just gave birth like 2 weeks ago," and you answered that. Like, what was your answer? What did you?
Yeah, that was like a little, that was tough. Definitely hearing from people, "Oh, you have to rest, you have to do this," and that's where I think that everybody's body is different. Right. So first of all, when you're pregnant, even to compare yourself to somebody else who's pregnant, who's exercising, who looks a certain way, nobody's bodies react the same to different exercises. Everybody's body can handle different amounts of stress, different amounts of intensity. And my body post-pregnancy is, I would say, very different than someone else who hasn't exercised the entire pregnancy. I mean, just like you guys, I was exercising until the day I gave birth. So for me to get back into exercise 2 weeks after, beyond just the fact that every single person's birth experience is different.
Right.
You have to, someone could have had a C-section and then it's not even a thought. You can't do that. There's no question.
Right.
If someone had, every woman delivers differently. There are different complications that can go on. Right. And thank God at 2 weeks I was able to do certain exercises, and again, certain exercises.
Right,
because
and you were educated and knowledgeable about what was
exactly.
okay to do and what was not okay. Let's go through each trimester. So
Okay.
first trimester, people really don't have to change their exercise that much. Like they can still go running.
If they were exercising beforehand.
Right.
I think that's very important.
Right.
I get that, people come to my spin classes. Hi, never exercised before. I'm 2 months pregnant. People don't know yet, but I want to exercise. I'm afraid of gaining weight. What should I do? I do say a lot of times that it's not a good idea. If they've never done a spin class before, or 2 months pregnant, that I don't think is a good idea.
Right.
Again, they can check with their doctor.
Right. But it is a good time for them to start doing something, even if they start walking. Swimming, or just something
if they have
just
other
to
kids,
move. Yeah.
Other kids are exercise.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't need to exercise necessarily if you're running after a toddler,
Right, that's true. And there's definitely some exercises that should be avoided. Anything that could cause you to fall, like off-road bicycling, skiing, gymnastics, any contact sports. Ice skating, contact sports like soccer or basketball, and also things like hot yoga, because you don't want to overheat your body when you're pregnant. So there are definitely some exercises to stay away from, but first trimester, for sure, if you've been exercising before, you can continue to exercise and just be aware, if you start to get hot or crampy or you have to pay attention.
And I just want to add to that, as a group fitness instructor, if people are going to the gym 1, 2 months, 3 months pregnant, and people don't know that they're pregnant, especially the instructor, it's very important to know yourself that as a group fitness instructor, when we get certified, there is about 1 paragraph on pre and postnatal exercise and pregnancy. So if you're going to start asking the group fitness instructor something, it's very important to go like a specialist, someone who really knows about this topic and to guide you properly, because a group fitness instructor knows, I don't want to say very little unless they've done their research as an individual like myself. They don't. Group fitness is group fitness. They're teaching to a group of people. It's not personal training. Yeah. So that's just very important because people want to listen to everything. I remember that I wanted to listen to everything the instructor said, when I first started working out, and you really can't. You can't do crunches. You can't do those things.
Right.
So cause yourself at risk for, diastatic recti. It's exactly.
So, maybe why don't you take a minute and explain what that is, and then we'll start with the second trimester, because that's a good segue.
Diastatic recti, it's also, I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing it right because there's so many different
pronunciations.
That's right. You are right. Pretty much you have two different layers of muscles in your,
abdominal
our abs,
wall,
our stomach. You have the transverse abdominis, which is the layer underneath what then we see as our abs, the layer on top. People want to show their abs, but they're actually these muscles underneath that are more important to work while you're pregnant. Sorry, let me just get back. So diastatic recti, what it is the separation of the muscles, like the ab muscles on top of underneath your stomach. So I'm trying to
so
verbalize this.
Yeah, they begin to
stretch.
Right, they begin to stretch, and your muscles give way to make space for the baby. But the problem is when they stretch,
when they separate
and they weaken,
is the issue.
Yeah,
and it causes that mommy pooch, what people
or hernia.
After you've had the baby. So so let's talk for a minute. You started talking about crunches, because in the second trimester is when you start to show, and you need to stop doing any exercises where you're laying on your stomach for obvious reasons, or on your back, because when you lay on your back, it starts to compress the inferior vena cava.
Right.
Did I say that right?
Yes.
Which is the large vein that carries the blood back to your heart. So that's a big one that people don't necessarily know about, that you shouldn't be laying on your back once you hit that second trimester.
Right.
Then we come into the third trimester.
The other thing too is, as you're getting bigger, to be very careful with your balance and things that might throw your balance, because your center of balance is shifting fairly quickly, actually. And you have to take that into consideration also.
Right. And also you have the hormone that helps loosen all the joints for labor, so your hips are more relaxing.
That's where yoga you have to be careful as well. You don't realize your body could stretch more than what you're used to.
Right. And the truth is that relaxin, that hormone, can stay in your system well beyond the birth. I mean, I read somewhere that could be 12 months after that your joints remain but the joints remain looser than usual, and that you're more prone to getting injured or it's something definitely to be aware of. And then, so what happens when somebody's in the third trimester, big belly? Any accommodations, anything?
Something else on that point, just in terms of lifting weights, because when you bend down when you're in the third trimester and lift up something heavy, you unintentionally sometimes squeeze your core, and there's too many risks involved, I feel, with things heavy lifting in terms of preterm labor. Your body, like you said, that relaxin hormone is there. Just in the third trimester, kind of slowing things down, just because you are carrying a baby. You're carrying now almost a full-term baby. So continuing your exercise regimen at a decreased pace, I would say, in the third trimester.
Let me ask you, how about using, if you're at a gym, right? So using machines that are more isolative, where you're not actually, where it's a stack of weights, but you're not actually physically lifting up a barbell or a dumbbell.
Those are great. Yeah, I think those machines are great.
I mean, you could go overboard on that too, and because if you're doing it right, you're tightening your core all the time, but at least you can sort of dial it down and sit or isolate one or two muscles, rather than trying to engage everything.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So I know also you're very into watching what you eat and watching what you feed your children. So I think we should touch on, just diet during pregnancy. I hope people...
I know that you guys sometimes demystify things.
Yeah, Yes.
I think that there's this is where I feel somewhat passionate, somewhat very passionate. Mm-hmm. That, people think when they're pregnant that, you're eating for two and you have to have, 500 extra calories. And my strong opinion is that's not true.
Right.
I think about how tiny the baby is in your first trimester. It's you get these apps and they say baby's the size of a pea. They don't need 500 extra calories, that little pea.
Yeah.
Further along, you have a 10-pound baby, and especially you shouldn't be eating that much because you don't want to have you don't want to be giving birth to a 10-pound baby.
Right.
No. Right. That's kind of a happy medium. And it is important to have a couple extra calories in the first, second, and third trimester. Right. And it varies in between each, but a couple extra calories, say 350 extra calories, could be a handful of almonds.
Right.
And that's it. That's not a hamburger,
Right. Yeah. So we might have to delve into a little bit more about the nutrition, but what about post delivery? What do you recommend? What have you done post delivery in terms of getting back into your exercise routine?
Post delivery, in terms of getting back to my exercise routine, and we're not talking about nutrition right now. We're talking about
I think as I was talking, I was thinking, maybe that's a whole other podcast episode.
Right. I think so.
I was thinking, let's keep this to, the exercise. So, so you've delivered the baby, you're breastfeeding. What's, what do you do?
It's funny because I think breastfeeding and exercise has a very bad rep, and I've found, because I only am finding all these things out from people messaging me on Instagram and saying you're not supposed to exercise while you're breastfeeding, you're not going to have a supply. And it actually surprises me a lot, because I think that's a huge, huge myth, because honestly, I think when I was researching it after people messaged me, there's one study that was done regarding, breastfeeding and exercise, and they took a bunch of women who were exercising and a bunch of women who weren't. And the reason why I think that all of these people say that it's not good is to exercise while you're breastfeeding is because the babies who were nursed after the women exercised didn't want the milk, and that, I guess, caused this myth to start. And if you look further into the research on that study, what happened was these women, they're exercising, they're going out to exercise, and they went to nurse right away, and you sweat after you exercise.
Right.
Yeah.
So the babies were not interested in a salty milk.
Right.
Gee, not surprisingly, because human milk is actually a little sweet.
Yeah,
so.
that's
right.
So interesting. So, Sophia, before we go, any last minute tips you want to give to the women out there who are thinking of becoming pregnant, who are pregnant, who are post, just in terms of starting an exercise program, or just something from your own life you want to impart?
I think that the most important thing is to really, listen to your body. Does your body want to move? Have you moved? Have you done some exercise and felt good afterwards? Right. Or were you in pain? Was there something that was hurting you? It's very important to, be in touch with your body and let that endorphin rush come, because so many of us dread exercise and don't know how positive and how amazing you can feel afterwards until you've done it. So, every single one of my spin classes, I always say the hardest part of the spin class is deciding you're going to come and getting on the bike.
Right.
Once you're on the bike, you have there's no turning back. You're going to love it. You're going to walk out of there feeling amazing.
Right.
It's just deciding and taking that first step that's going to it'll change everything. You're just going to feel amazing. You're going to be a better mom.
Right.
Moms who exercise there's more energy. You have more energy. It's funny because you think you're working out, you're going to deplete your energy, but
no, it's the opposite. It's true.
It's
true. So true.
And it's also a great stress reducer.
Yeah.
So you end up feeling more relaxed.
Yeah.
Totally.
And as a mom, that's
really, it's super important. And you're right. There's days when I go to exercise and I haven't had enough sleep, and it does it wakes me up and my energy level is better, and I just feel better.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, okay, just do it. Do it. Sophia is active on social media forums. She has over 2,000 participants and followers as they watch her journey in the health and fitness world. You can follow her at Fit and Kosher. You can also follow me on Instagram at Jill Scharfman. I want to thank our engineer, Mike Casantini at the Network Studios. And Sophia, thank you so much for all this information. And
I could talk about this for hours.
Yeah, so could we.
We could too. Okay. So, okay, well, we might have to continue the conversation. Yes. We will.
Thank you so much, guys.
All right, thank you. And that is it for this episode of Let My People Eat. Please visit our website at letmypeopleeat.com and leave us a comment. Get in touch at our email at podcast@letmypeopleeat.com or call us at 317-659-0004. Post on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook with the hashtag #LetMyPeopleEatPodcast. If you like this show, please make sure to leave us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. Tell your friends and family and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts.
And please remember that although we are certified professionals, this is not a medical advice podcast. No content, posts, or comments should be interpreted as professional guidance. Always speak to your own health practitioner about making the right life changes for you.
Until next time, I am Jill Scharfman.
And I am Andrea Moskowitz.
Thanks for joining us.
And go in good health.